Good morning, everyone. I just want to make a quick little video about everything that's coming up now because the game has officially changed. We're now at war with Iran. Stupidly, Trump is backing Israel, um, and it's not going to be good. Same thing that happened with the war on terror. Everything that happens to get us up to there, 9/11. All the information has come out now. Besides the documents that the government is claiming isn't there, they're hitting the stuff, all the stuff the 9/11 Commission left out, which has now been shown in private lawsuits and private investigations done by the most professional teams you can imagine. A lot of it even out of the UK for some family members of some people that died in the World Trade Center. But beyond all that, we're looking at a lot of things going bad now. One is that the whole world knows that now that the United States can't be trusted. The super government that actually makes the shots around the world, those are the guys calling the shots. And if you haven't woken up to this not by now, you're not doing your due diligence, because things are going to get really bad. The U.S. and Israel failed to cut the head off of the snake. They're not going to get the regime change in Iran that they wanted. They didn't kill the president or most of the senior leadership like their aim was. And their aim was that because our munitions are so low. Maybe we'll have enough ammunition to keep up this bombing campaign for 6 weeks, 2 months, something like that. But after that, when we're out of ammo, how do we hold our position if we have no might to back it up on the global scale? So Iran's already retaliated after the 12-day war when they bombed the shit out of Israel. After Israel started it, right, based off of lies, it proved that the missile defense systems of the U.S. and Israel can't stop their missiles. Every one of their missiles got through and hit value targets. And now Iran has launched missile strikes. I think there's it's not just Haifa and Tel Aviv that got plastered with the retaliation, but also places in Saudi Arabia and Qatar. There are already U.S. military casualties because they're going to go after our bases, and they're going to take out all of our bases with their missiles in West Asia and the Middle East. This isn't just coming from me, right? This is coming from military professionals of the highest quality and whistleblowers, people who lost their jobs, like Scott Ritter, because he called out the lies about Iraq before we went to war with them in 2003. He said they do not have weapons of mass destruction. That's been proven over and out. They never did. And now things are going to get really ugly. The Strait of Hormuz and all trade routes out of the Persian Gulf are going to be cut off. All Middle Eastern oil is going to be cut off to the West, to the United States, Europe, Canada, to NATO, basically. And you're going to see terrible consequences economically. You're going to see the oil and gas prices skyrocket. And you're going to see a U.S. that's not even going to have ammunition to defend its own soil. If they keep this campaign up, which is now, it's too late. They have to. All of our men are stationed over there, all of our military, half our Air Force, I think it's 30%, 35%, something like that, of our Navy, of our warships. Now Hezbollah, Yemen, like they are also, they're just like Iran in this situation. This is for them. This war represents more than just taking out who they believe to be evil people, which is U.S., NATO, militants, right? They're looking at this as a war of survival. And if we haven't learned anything about them in the past, like they don't have, like they're not, they will fight to the death, man, woman, child. Now all the other people, Russia, China, everybody else on the side of Iran, like they're probably not even going to sit down anymore with Hegseth or anybody from the U.S. because our word can't be trusted. Our word cannot be trusted at that level. And it's not a nation-state government that is calling the shots. And they realize it is a supra-government that's really calling the shots. I mean, if we had left Iran alone and not did anything and not been backing Israel's play this whole time, they would be no threat to the United States. And now all they have to do is tuck into their mountains, into their bunkers. They just let the bombing campaign go on until we run out of ammunition. And then they're going to be launching, 1, 2, 3 missiles at a time, targeting U.S. and Israeli targets all over the Middle East and West Asia. And they're going to obliterate everything that we have there, all of our bases. And maybe this is the wake-up call that we need. All this stuff gets intertwined with the super government, and you can see a lot of it in the Epstein files. And I know people are sick of hearing that, but you have to know about all the shit that's going on there, because that is the link, our link with solid evidence to the web of this super government, of this cabal, of this deep state, whatever you want to call it. And not only that, look at all the problems that we're having at home now. For example, after El Mencho was killed, which was, that was made, and that attack was made and coordinated by U.S. intelligence. Otherwise, it wouldn't have worked, because the cartels are so intertwined with the military and the government and the National Guard here in Mexico, where I live, that there's no way that they could have done that alone. That had to be U.S. intelligence. There's a lot of evidence from great researchers and journalists that are showing that. And it's not only garbage that you find in the legacy media. Stop trusting the word of the legacy media. I don't even know why people even watch that anymore. They're protecting the worst sociopaths in the world. Why is Jamie Dimon and Jess Staley, the heads of J.P. Morgan Chase and Barclays, the heads of Deutsche Bank, the heads of the New York Federal Reserve, all those guys with the direct connections and all the stuff that they've done for and with Epstein, why are they still allowed to even fucking operate? It's crazy. They're sociopathic, ethno-supremacist fascists that want to rule the world no matter what, and then they look at all of us as garbage. Like, where is your self-respect? Where's your rage about this? All right? Okay, I'm going to get off that. I just need to show those connections. Now, with the cartels, if I'm in their position and I'm playing this game of this ridiculous system that we have of Machiavellian power politics across the world that basically rules every facet of our lives, from technology to energy to communication, transportation, everything. If I'm looking at the world in a view of power politics, which I hate, this would be my time to strike now, because they're already pissed off and lit up. They're infiltrated probably in every state in the United States, maybe not Hawaii, but everywhere else. This is when I would start raising hell. And this is in the Chinese, everybody that came over when Biden opened the border, and there was that mass invasion of illegal Chinese immigrants that are all, 99% military age men. Any sleeper cell that I had, if I was one of these terrorist organizations out of the Middle East that do have groups and sleeper cells in the U.S., not as much as they'd like to, as the media would like to put out as their fear tactics to get to manufacture consent and compliance. Like this is it. Like within the next few months, I'd be like, okay, it's time. The U.S. is spread out like butter over toast. They're running out of ammunition. They're not going to have enough. Like, it's only going to be the people and local militias that will be formed that are going to be able to protect their own soil. I would unleash hell if I were them right now. In this view, in this perspective of power politics, that is exactly what I would do. And the scarier part, I would even start holding American citizens as hostages in the U.S. and be like, stop fucking around, get the fuck out of Mexico. And if I'm a president or a person of power in Mexico, like Sheinbaum or many of the governors and their congressmen, senators, I would start pressing as well, and people might not think that's so important because Mexico doesn't really have the military might that they need to do much damage in the U.S., but the fucking cartels certainly do. They're just as armed or even better armed than the National Guard and the military, because about 80% of all their weapons are U.S. made and can come from the U.S., okay? Like a lot of the weapons and billions of dollars worth of weapons and hardware that disappeared in Ukraine, those are in cartel hands now, here in Mexico. Right? This has been traced. That is a fact. So you have to really look at what's happening. You can't trust our media. And if you still do, like, I don't know what to tell you. If you're still on this partisan, like Republican, Democrat, liberal, conservative, if you're still thinking in those terms, like, I'm done with that shit. I'm done with you. Like, I don't see how you can't see through that. Like, you were such a fool in that part. To all those smart people out there that are still thinking, like, what is your problem? Why are you so afraid to look past the red versus blue bullshit? It's a lie. It has been, right? The major things haven't changed. The big financial stuff, the human trafficking, arms trafficking, the never-ending wars. It goes through all parties within our lifetimes. All of them. Right? So, I guess the message is like, be prepared. Stock up with the things that you can get, as much non-perishable food as you can get, and be strapped down. Because if Russia and China do enter the fray, and Trump is stupid enough to declare war on Russia and China for Israel, for the greater Israeli project dreamed about by these Zionist pedophile monsters, like, that will hit home, right? There's nothing we have that can stop these supersonic missiles, and a lot of them are nuclear capable. And if we do go to war with Russia, it's going to be all out, and it will be nuclear. All right? Like, don't be fooled by what they're saying on the news, the legacy media, not the real news, not the journalists that you're gonna find on, like, the real free speech platforms like Rumble and stuff like that. The stuff that I post, most of it's from YouTube now. I only did Rumble for so long, but so many people don't have Rumble. But all those people also have channels on Rumble. The real independent journalists that come with the real news. You can't get distracted from all the other stuff too, because it is interconnected. Maybe this is just the super government being terrified about the public that's keep pushing about everything coming out about Epstein, because you release, like, you really get into that. If the public really does something, the entire power structure of the world, not just the United States, but the world, will change when people wake up to see that these mega tech and social media corporations, the huge media conglomerates, the energy corporations, banking cartels, all these guys, like, those are the sociopaths behind all this stuff. And past all that, they're the same ones that are running the black markets for stealing our children and trafficking them sexually, stealing their organs when they're done with them, killing them and taking their organs, and also all the crazy the craziness that most people don't want to talk about, that, like, the adrenochrome things, taking these kids, torturing them, getting that fear driven, extracting their blood. Like, it all sounds so fucking crazy, but this is the reality we live in. And you have to wake up to it, because this is gonna touch home one way or another, economically and socially. If this war continues, we are gonna feel it in the U.S. Like, everybody in the U.S. is gonna feel. Everybody in the world is gonna feel it. And if I was the entire southern hemisphere of the world that's been being shit on by U.S., Europe, Canada, and all these all the powerhouses so far, like, I would just start cutting off everything with the U.S. and I would go completely with the BRICS side, right? And this is in terms of, again, Machiavellian power politics, which is the system that rules the world right now. I'm not for that, but that is what I would do in their position. I would just stop all trade. I would make the U.S. eat itself. I would starve out the people, cut all energy and food imports, all precious metals, all rare earth mineral, everything. I would cut everything off, all trade, and make them implode economically. And mark my words, at least a few big partners are going to start doing that. I'm worried for the world. I'm worried for humanity. I'm really worried for my friends and family in the U.S. right now. And most people, 99% of people, I bring up things like this to talk about because of how serious it is, and they just blow it off, or they try to change the subject because they don't want to talk about it. Well, that time is ended, right? You're going to have to talk about it, because you're going to have to make plans. You're going to have to do something about it. And keep in mind, whatever is coming with the disclosure of other life and UFOs and stuff, it's extremely important. The Epstein stuff is extremely important. You can't let this get in the way you can't let this war that's going to be used to distract everybody. You can't let it push this other stuff on the back burner, because all this stuff is connected, right? And you have to be aware of that, and you have to be ready, because this is no joke. This is no joke. This shit is coming. It's going to be hard, fast, and brutal. And if you think that you're not going to be affected by it because you live in a nice, comfortable home in the burbia, or in you have a nice place in one of the cities, like, your pockets are going to feel it, your gas tank is going to feel it, and likely your stomach is going to feel it at some point. Because without all the gas and for the transportation and everything that we need for our goods to be ran across the country, what's going to happen? You know? You're going to start seeing panic buys at all the grocery stores. You're going to see like the toilet paper disappearing during the COVID thing. I'm sorry. I know it's not that funny, but this is now turned into a real situation. And don't be surprised. Don't be surprised if we see World War III hit within the next few months. Right? If you're going out too, and you think your vote is going to matter about the big things, you know, I don't know what to tell you. Unless you have the propensity to go and force in people like Massey and Ro Khanna into the highest positions of the government, like presidency, like the people that are actually coming out and not letting the super government just have complete control. Unless you're willing to do that, you know, we're gonna see very bad things happen. So weird. I had a dream about making this exact video, and 7 months into the future, and the dream actually ended a bit positive, where America decided to stand up and to wake up to what's happening on a mass scale, not just the 1, 2, 3% of people that are international relations and news junkies like me, but the rest of the world seeing like this, it's getting too bad. We can't let this happen anymore. So please do your due diligence, right? If you want America to work and to survive, it requires an educated and well-informed public. That's directly from our founding fathers. That is how our system works. And we are not well informed across the board. That has to happen. You can't let this bullshit keep flying, or you're gonna see so much suffering, so much more than we're having now. And all the unnecessary services are going to come to an end. So many people are going to be out of jobs while we're in the middle of the war, and while probably these cells or these factions from the cartels and from these militant groups out of West Asia and in the Middle East spark up shit on the U.S. soil. Everybody's going to be spread out, having to take up arms just to defend their own towns and communities, right? Like, don't get this shit twisted. Be prepared. Get as much food and water as you can. Get all the ammo you can. Right? Stock up, strap down, and pay attention. Pay attention. Get informed. If you don't, like, you're setting yourself up and your family up to go through terrible, horrible times. And it's all because you didn't want to pay attention. All right? So, that's the extent of it. I love you guys. This thing just started a few hours ago. We'll see what's up in a month, right? In a few weeks or a month. Mark my words, this is going to be really bad for the U.S. unless we pull out, tell Israel to go fuck himself. And through that, they're going to release the bombshells of everything that they have on Epstein, because Epstein was not just working for U.S. intelligence, the CIA. He was working with the Mossad, and apparently connections with MI6 in the UK as well. Probably with France. So, get ready. Get ready. Don't be fooled. And don't think that voting in a bipartisan red versus blue manner is going to do a fucking thing, because it's not. And if you haven't seen that, like, get informed. get informed, and learn something.